So, Chuck Whiteman, CEO and co-founder of Lamatic, thank you for joining the call. So, I wanted to get a little bit of background. Can you describe what Lamatic does?
Sure. Lamatic, at an organization level, our managed platform provides the middleware that a company needs to deploy and manage AI-powered applications across their company. And then for each application team, what our platform does is it eliminates the specialized work that's required um, to to ensure that the AI results generated from the application are accurate, are delivered reliably in real time. And that means these applications get to market way faster and without the need to find and hire AI specialists to do it. And so the way I like to think of it is Lamatic is kind of like the tap that you hammer into a tree that unlocks the value that's locked inside that tree. So it lets the value of the company's data start to flow out.
Wow.
That's how we
Okay.
think of Lamatic.
Okay. Can you give me an example, a use case where somebody's come to you and they deployed your technology in their technology?
Sure. So the what's interesting is the use cases seem like they're wildly different, but at the core, they are about putting a layer on top of a company's data and allowing people to interact with that content the way they would interact with a person through natural language.
Hmm.
And so the the form that that takes varies, but a common use case is, I just spent some time with a client of ours who's got a wide variety of customer support um, assets. Some of them are videos, PDFs, pages on their website, a whole bunch of stuff. And what we've done is we've indexed that through the Lamatic platform and turned that into a resource that their customers can use to just ask questions and get the right answer the way they would if they were talking to somebody, the most knowledgeable expert on that this particular company's platform.
So thank you very much for that explanation on Lamatic. So let's start from the beginning. Talking about Traq.ai, I wanted to find out what were you doing before you started using Track, if anything, to improve your team's performance, whether it's in conversations or sales or even just working with your clients?
Well, we started using Track in um, not really the use case it is designed for. We started using Track when we were doing discovery calls with potential customers for a product that we hadn't built yet. So,
Mhm.
what Track really was instrumental in doing was allowing us to capture these insights without slowing people down to take notes and then to distill first and then aggregate these insights across large groups of people so that we started to really understand what it was that our potential customers needed from us. And so I don't I honestly don't know because we started from the very beginning using Track. So I can't even imagine doing it a different way because um, it's whenever you start a call with somebody, you really never know what you're going to learn, and a lot of times you don't learn anything. But what Track gives me the confidence is that when I'm panning for gold, that if something comes along, it's getting captured, and so I'm not losing those you know those gold nuggets, and I can reevaluate them later and look at them through different points of view and get as much value as I can from what amounts to a very large investment in talking with customers.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess since you started from the ground from day one using Track, I was going to ask you if your process has changed much, but I guess the question is, if you were not using Track, how might you have had to run the business?
Well, I think we would have been less data driven.
Hmm.
because we would be running off of recollection. And one of the things that I found is that my recollection might be, you know, X and Y. And when I say that and I go back and I look at the transcript or look at the AI analysis of the conversation, it isn't really X and Y. It might be a lot of X, maybe a little bit of Y. I overplayed that in my head and I completely missed Z. And I think that Traq allows you to be more data driven and reflective on what you've learned or think you've learned. So,
Yeah, I feel like every time it's a great use case, taking notes, but thoughtfully. Every time you kind of look down to write down a note, you're falling one step behind the conversation.
mhm,
If you were to ask this person you're speaking with to, hey, slow down, all of a sudden their train of thought, I mean, they may be on a roll and they're just sharing great information. And you say, oh, no, no, stop for a moment. I gotta write. Or they even see you looking down and writing. Their tendency is to slow down
mhm.
and it may affect what they share and what they think about.
Well, you read a lot about active listening, and the
Mhm.
key to active listening is not thinking about what it is that you're going to say. And this is a bit of a corollary to that. If you're writing down what they just said, you're not actively listening to what they are saying right now. So
Right.
I feel like Track solves that problem.
Okay. So you started out, you saw a need, you started using this. How did you first hear about Traq.ai?
Well, I happened to know from a prior experience the CTO of Traq.ai. So I've been familiar with Traq from the very beginning, and so I was captivated by the concept from before Traq was even a product. So I guess I had a little bit of an inside view, and
Okay.
um, and it's unfolded in ways that I couldn't have anticipated, but I've been pleasantly surprised.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And when you started using Traq, did you have any concerns or reservations about using Traq?
I really didn't. I it was easy to try out,
Hmm.
and so I didn't have any concerns about trying it out. I think honestly, it's just so darn seamless. Like I said, you never know in advance when when you're going to learn something interesting from a call. And Traq is this insurance policy that ensures the gold nugget never slips through my fingers. So, I've never really had any reservation about using it.
Okay. And when just now you mentioned seamless, can you share what your thoughts are about that?
Well, whenever I'm meeting with anyone, it goes on my calendar, and it's always a Google Meet. And because I've connected Traq to my Google Calendar, I don't need to remember anything. My assistant is on this call right now. I
Right.
never had to think about it. So it just like I said, it's this insurance policy that is always there, and you know always I'm always able to go back and look at a conversation where I did learn something. And every time I go back and I listen to a conversation again, I learn something new. So
Right.
it's terrifically valuable.
Fantastic. And I mean, it sounds like to me certainly, and to you also, these conversations, whatever, when you're having a conversation, they're very valuable. Is it? I mean, how do you value a conversation, or what are your thoughts about conversations in terms of their importance?
Well, there's always a purpose to a conversation. That's always the lens through which you're, you know, evaluating it and trying to get, what it is that you were hoping to get out of the conversation. But that's only one channel in a really wide pipe. And so one of the things that I think is true, even though maybe you're trying to sell somebody your product, but in
Hmm.
the process, you're they're mentioning features or elements of a problem that you had never thought about. And so it's kind of it's a tangent to your main goal of I need to move this prospect from one step in my sales funnel to the next. But the additional value that's buried in this conversation, if it weren't recorded and able to be distilled by Traq, it would be lost forever. And so I think that companies that aren't taking advantage of the full bandwidth of these really valuable conversations with customers or vendors, or whoever you happen to be talking to, are really missing the boat.
Thank you for that. So, what has it been like working with Traq so far?
Well, I'd use the word seamless again. The the product just works.
Mm,
So, I don't actually have need to contact Traq.
okay.
Um, I think that there are new features that they're adding to the product, which makes sense. I feel like that's probably the reason for ongoing dialogue is just to make sure that I'm always learning, the latest features and the benefits of those features in ways that I can apply them to my own business. Um, but yeah, I've been very pleased with the level of support I've gotten. But as I said, the product just works, so it's not really technical support. It's more like you know use cases and ways to leverage the technology in valuable ways.
Thank you. Can you share where you think you've gained the most value from using Traq?
Yeah, I think to date it was and has been capturing customer needs, features. Um, well, I think two things. One, understanding the problem that our customers and potential customers are encountering
Hmm.
is one of those channels that we're not always paying close attention to. So I feel like we've been able to distill some of that out of the conversations that we've recorded through Traq, and then specifically being able to strategize on a particular opportunity by getting more eyeballs on a particular conversation. I think that's the other way, and that probably is the more tangible value is just being able to um, get all of the right people involved in moving an opportunity from one stage to the next.
I can't
I don't know
help
if
but
that.
smiling because it's funny. I don't know if you ever review a conversation with somebody and it's like, oh my gosh, were we even listening to the same conversation? Because we are all tuned so differently and we have our own bias in what we're listening for. So, which is one of the reasons we designed Traq, to kind of remove that bias. So, what other types of situational use cases do you think Traq, that you might benefit from Traq?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously in the selling funnel,
Hmm.
making sure that you know we're being um, we're not cutting people off. We're being thoughtful, responsive to what is requested. That I think that the sales coaching piece of Traq is really great. Um, I look at it myself, and it's a great um, self-assessment tool that I found that has changed my approach. I love seeing what percentage of a call I spoke versus listened, and I know that's part of the coaching.
Right.
um, the the requirements gathering for non-customers, I think has been that was my first use case. I think that's been terrifically valuable. Um, I mean, those are the two sort of high volume
Hmm.
types of calls, but even calls with potential vendors. I might
Right.
have a call with three different vendors, and this is a good way for me to subject them to a litmus test later is to compare like what was discussed and really evaluate the um, the outcomes. If they agreed to some to-dos, Traq is a
Right.
great tool for making sure that I don't let them off the hook for whatever it is that they said they were going to do.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's very helpful. And I'm curious, for someone who's watching this, why should they take action now, start using Traq now versus waiting?
Well, the analogy I would use is the river is flowing, and so every day there's valuable conversations happening that the people on your side that are listening are picking up a tiny fraction of the value that could be sifted from the flow of information. And the sooner you start using Traq to stop frame each flow and really squeeze as much value as you can from that really large pipe, the better. So like
Right.
why wait?
Right. Okay. Well, this has been very helpful. I really appreciate your candor and sharing. If someone wants to learn more about Lamatic, where can they find you? Where can they learn more?
Yeah, so you can find us online at Lamatic.ai. You can talk with satisfied customers, of which Traq is
Yes,
one. So
absolutely.
I am anxious. We're a growing business. We're really working hard to help our customers extract the value that's locked within their organizations by using generative AI, organizing their data assets and powering um, valuable use cases within their business, within their custom applications, typically on their website. Like I said, the variety of use cases that we're supporting is, it's mind-boggling. But at the end of the day, it's all about taking the data that is trapped inside your organization, using the power of the public LLMs um, to generate, whether it be written content, verbal content, visual content that can be usefully consumed either within the company or by the company's customers or vendors.
Well, I think that you've given me an idea of another use case because I think that we have all this support data that we need to mine and make available to our customers. So I think there's another opportunity for Lamatic at Traq.ai. Well, Chuck,
That's terrific.
it's been great. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your support and continued use of Traq. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you.